I got to tell you, I have got mad props to anyone that has made a successful solo podcast because it's not easy. I mean, doing a regular podcast is hard in itself, but the thing about solo podcasting that I've had to remind myself that my viewers, anybody that's tuning in to listen to me, is all that they're getting from this is me. Now, I have the other series, A and J, which is my wife. She joins me and we talk about different things. But when you limit yourself to just you, and it is just you talking to your audience, that's all that they're getting. They're getting you, they're getting your view on life, they're getting your opinion, and that's it. And in a way, that's good, that's peaceful, but I understand why people listen to podcasts with more than one person. Because what that creates is a diversity in opinion. Whereas I can sit down and I can talk about the same exact subject, the same exact topic that's run off the top of my head. When someone else is in the room with me and I come over to them and I ask them their opinion or what they would think about what I said or the topic, they may have a disagreement in that. And the thing about disagreement is not bad. Just because someone doesn't agree with me or, believe the same thing that I do doesn't mean that we have to be enemies. It doesn't mean we got to have a knockdown drag out on here, even though I think that's what most people honestly want. And yes, sometimes it's entertaining, sometimes it's funny for that, but a disagreement is just that. It's somebody doesn't see things the exact way that you do. And all I can give you on here is just that, my opinion. I've done this, I've seen that, this is the way I look at it, and that's all that you're going to get from me on this if it's just me sitting in here. Even though sometimes I will say I have disagreed with my own self or, went back and looked and said, wow, I really was dumb. I should have tried to figure something else out. But, I really have mad respect for anybody that does solo podcasting and has been successful at it. Like, mad props to you. And the thing I wanted to talk about today was kind of along those lines, not really. Talking about what I wanted to do whenever I was a little kid and how I changed and went back and forth. And when I was in high school, I had my ideas of things and where I am at now in my life, fixing to turn 30 next year. And I wanted to talk to the person out there who feels like they've made mistakes in life. They feel like their life is doomed. It's flying by faster than they want it to. And even if you don't show it on the outside, and even if you don't let your closest friends and family know about it, you still wrestle with it. You always think to yourself, if only I'd have done this, if only I'd have done that, if I could just go back in time and fix this and do that. I'm fixing to be 30 and I'm not even close to the dream that I once had. All I can give you on that is my perspective and my personal experience in life. That's it. And it may work for some people. It's probably not going to work for a lot of other people because we've all come from different walks of life and we all grew up in different environments with different families, with different circumstances. And it all helped us create to be who we are today. Diversity. We're different. You're not going to see things the exact same way that I do, but that's okay. I can tell you this, though. When I was a little kid, my dream was to be a paleontologist. When I was a little kid, I loved dinosaurs. It's funny because I couldn't keep up with schoolwork. I didn't like going to school, didn't like learning about nothing else. But yet at the same time, I could tell you the scientific name of just about any dinosaur. Stuff that I don't even remember today, when I was 5, 6 years old. I had the toys. I watched the movies. That was what I wanted to be when I grew up. Was I wanted to go to the desert and deal with dinosaur bones and go to the museums and look at them and study them and all this different stuff, man. That was my dream. And I'll say that probably ended around the age of 8, 9 years old. For all intents and purposes, because I'm 29 right now, we'll just say that 9 years old, I still wanted to be a paleontologist. And I kind of went through a spurt whenever I got into my preteen years, my early teenage years. I really didn't know what I wanted to do. Nothing really interested me. I liked video games. I liked playing video games, but I was always told growing up, that's not a job. That's a game. That's a little fun thing you do before you go to bed at night if, you keep your grades up and You know, that's what it was in our household. So nothing really interested me at the point, and then I started getting a little bit older, and I knew that I enjoyed multimedia. I enjoyed watching movies. I knew that I enjoyed, a good commercial. I liked broadcasting. I liked radio. I liked stuff like that. Sports was never a big thing to me. I never really got involved. My parents kind of pushed me to do it a little bit, just to have something different in my life. But I didn't like sports. I didn't want to play football, baseball, basketball. I did tryouts, never really made a team. Just because I wasn't good at it. Never practiced, never had nobody to really practice with, never really had a real desire and want to. So it just something that didn't happen for me. No offense to it or anybody that likes sports. I can understand why. It just wasn't my thing. But I knew that I liked multimedia, and that's something that I wanted to get involved in. So probably around the age of 14, I think it was, 13 or 14, I had started playing guitar. And little side fact, my brother's been dead since 2007. The year before he died was when I got my first guitar for Christmas. A little First Act electric bundle from Walmart. Or I should say my second guitar that I ever had. My first guitar, it's actually hanging up in my man cave right next to me right now, was a little small Alpine wooden acoustic, guitar, 6-string. Never was really a big deal. My grandparents got it for me just to give me something else to try when I was little. I have no idea when I got this thing. Could have been when I was around 6, 7 years old, something like that, but never really played it, never really did anything with it. Kind of got stuck in the corner of a closet, and then last year I went to my grandparents' house, grabbed it out their closet and brought it home, put some new strings on it, and kind of updated the hardware on it. It's still kind of unplayable. The bridge and the action's a little too high on it, but it's in good shape and it's hanging up on the wall. That was my first actual guitar. And my parents, like I said, when I was 13 for Christmas, actually got me a First Act bundle, a little electric guitar with a cheap amp from Walmart for Christmas, because I was a kid. I was going through phases, and I just told them I wanted to learn to play guitar. And, my parents weren't about to shell out a ton of money on something that I probably wasn't going to do nothing with. But I actually picked it up and actually started playing, and it was actually something I learned how to do. And a fun fact is my brother taught me the very first thing I ever learned on guitar. Before I ever learned a chord, before I even learned how to tune the thing. Somehow my brother knew how to play. I think it was Metallica. Enter Sandman, just a little small riff, up and down the 3rd and 5th fret. I think it was. I'm not even sure if I could play it right now, but my brother was the first one to sit me down and actually show me a lick on the guitar. So the very first thing that I ever learned on guitar was actually showed to me by my brother. That's all he showed me. That he never was a guitar player or anything, but somehow he knew that. And that's actually just something that I always thought was cool. Was that's a piece of my brother that's kind of tied into something that I like and did. Was the very first thing I learned come from him. So anyway, I decided I wanted to get into music. I wanted to look into going to college whenever I got out. I thought about going to like Belmont University or Full Sail, learning audio engineering, and also wanted to do film. I wanted to learn how to do that. Well, when I was right in the middle of high school, about halfway through my sophomore year, my grandfather died. And I can't go into details out of respect for the family of what happened with that, but needless to say, my mom and dad had to basically start all over again, and I could have still went to college. Whatever they had going on, that was outside my life. I could have picked up my stuff, walked off, and said, I'm out of here. But there was something in my heart that didn't want to do that to my parents. I can't explain that, don't know what it is, but it's just something that I did not want to do. So when I tell people that something happened during high school, and they're like, well, you could have still went to college, it's not what I wanted to do. So I didn't. And eventually I got a job working at UPS part-time. Did that for about 4 years. Finally left because I needed something full-time. Went to work for Coca-Cola. I enjoyed every aspect of those jobs. It's just they had things about them towards the end that didn't add up for me personally. A lot of good people and friends of mine have made great careers and jobs out of working for those places. I have good friends and family there. I don't knock them, not one bit. They just inevitably wasn't for me. I wanted more, and I kind of hit my ceiling with both of them. Then eventually, last year, at the beginning of October 2021, I went to work for the company I'm working for now, and it's different, and it's not where I thought I'd see myself at this stage in my life. It's not always enjoyable. It's not the dream job. It's not just what I thought it was going to be, just amazing and whatever, but it is who I am, and it is something that I am glad that I did fall into. I work for good people who have taken good care of me and, done a lot for me, and I've made more money than I would have at the other jobs, and it's something that I can look back and say, even though this isn't what I wanted, isn't what I thought I would do and where I would be, I'm glad that I landed here. And so, who I am at 29 is far different than who I was at 19 and who I was at 9 years old. You go from a kid who wanted to dig up dinosaur bones and study dinosaurs to the kid that wanted to make movies and produce music, and then you get to the kid who is considered a government contractor, who's worked for UPS and Coca-Cola and delivery services, and it's like, man, what happened? Well, life happened. And here's the thing. I don't look back. Every once in a while, it kind of creeps in there a little bit. Just imagine what would happen if you'd have stuck with UPS. But then I get to thinking, if I'd have stayed with UPS, I wouldn't have had the memories and done the things I did. I never would have got my CDL Class A license. Never would have driven an 18-wheeler. Probably, maybe. I don't know. And I never would have been referred to as the Dr. Pepper guy. I never would have got to drive the Christmas truck. I never would have got to make the film and commercials and stuff I did for the Coca-Cola group I worked with. Never would have made the friendships that I made. And I wouldn't have took none of that for anything in the world. Then sometimes it hits me where I'm at now. What if you'd have stuck it out with Coca-Cola? I think about it a lot because I loved my job. I loved who I was. But in the end, I was starting to get unhappy with what I was doing. And what I used to enjoy and love, it was slowly fading away. And it was either get out of it now while you still have a good standing before you start going downhill with this. And it ends up hurting you in the long run. So yeah, sometimes I do think about the past. There's nothing wrong with thinking about the past. It's human, it's natural. It's hard to escape from, to be completely honest with you. You're going to think about what if. It's going to happen. That doesn't mean you're weak. It doesn't mean you're soft. It just means that you're a human being who thinks back on things. But I can tell you, I love who I am. I love what I've done. I love what the good Lord has led me to. It hasn't always been easy. Like I said, there are times where I wonder, what in the world am I doing? But ultimately, my life is my decision. Your life is your decision. You may have had the worst upbringing in the world. You may have come from some of the roughest, rockiest places with some of the worst people in the world, given the wrong advice all your life. Or you could be on the other end of the scale from that. Grew up rich, grew up happy, always got what you wanted, always able to do whatever you wanted to. Either side of those scales, you are still your own person, and your destiny is in control of you. You are in control of it. You can't look back one day and say, well, if only I wouldn't have had this get in the way, or if I didn't have these people, then maybe I couldn't. No. You can't say that when you get older. The responsibility falls on you. You can't wait till you're 60 years old to look back and if these people would have let me do something here. No. You are the one that's in control of your life. I'm in control of my life. What happens in my life and the consequences of it, or the good things that come from it, that all of that is my responsibility. It falls on me. You cannot look back in life and keep wondering that. Life is going to do what life does. It gives, it takes, it makes you laugh, it makes you cry. But don't look back so much. So what? It didn't work out with you and another person. It didn't work out because it wasn't meant to be. I'm sorry that you wanted it to be, but it wasn't meant to be. You know, I wish I could go back in my life and if there was anything, explain that to myself, and I probably wouldn't have been as anxious and stressed out and as mean to people as I was. Because I wanted things that just weren't meant to be, and I couldn't grasp that and understand that. And I had a lot of serious growing up to do. And now I look back today, I've got probably the greatest wife in the world. I live in a really nice house that I built on my land that I bought and purchased. I think I'm doing pretty good. Are there other things that I want and I'm still not able to do? Yes, obviously. You're always going to have something in your life that you're constantly moving towards and chasing. But I don't let that get in the way of enjoying the journey. And I'm telling the person that's listening to this today, you have got to slow down and enjoy the journey. It's up to you. You are responsible for your own happiness in life. If something is causing you to be miserable, you can't escape it, you can't get away from it, you need to figure out how. If there's something that brings you joy and happiness in life, then you need to figure out how to get more of that in your life. You are responsible for your life. Stop looking back so much. Stop being mad at yourself. Stop being so upset over what didn't happen, and focus on what's right in front of you that can still happen. Folks, I love you very much. I want to thank you if you tuned in to this podcast and you listened throughout this whole entire thing to just me sitting here talking. I'm just one random guy who just happens to have done some things in his life, who got extremely lucky, who has been able to put food on the table, put clothes on me and my wife's back, and been able to go off and do cool, fun things. But it always come with a price. It always come with leaving my house when I didn't want to, going to work when I didn't want to. It always come with making friendships, biting my tongue whenever I didn't want to bite it, whenever I had to learn to grow up and mature, even though I wanted that small kid part of me to come out. Everything comes with a price. You're not the only one that's dealing with that, and it's okay. It's normal. You're going to be okay. You're going to be all right. Stop stressing out so much about things in life. Life is not that serious. It has its moments of seriousness. I know. I've been there plenty of times. But you know what? They're like everything else. They come and they go. You're going to be all right. Pick your head up. Move forward on in life. And let the past be the past. You got this. You can do it. And you're going somewhere. Regardless what anybody else tries to tell you, what you've been telling yourself, you are going somewhere. Just hang in there. I love you guys very much. If you guys want to catch me out on TikTok, hold up, I need to pull this stuff up where I can, that's something I never do in my podcast. I don't even know if anybody's really listening to these things or not, but if you are, I need to have it where you guys can find me. You can find me on TikTok at JCOON93, at JCoon93, at JCOON93. Once again, I thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you guys can find me on TikTok and you follow us. And sometimes I do inspirational videos, or at least I try, and sometimes we just do random stupid videos for the sake of TikTok. I love you guys very much. You're going to be all right. You're going to be okay. And I'll speak with you guys again very soon.